Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CrowdChatter Podcast. And today is going to be the National League. I just did the American League, and so now I'm going to move on to the NL. And so let's just start with the NL East. The NL East in this division is not as good as the AL East, but it's still solid. We start with the Atlanta Braves, who are 35 and 24. This is obviously a very good team. Uh, Good pitching staff, good hitters. Ronald Acuna has been unbelievably good. This is clearly a good team. They're probably one of the front runners to win to win the National League and move on to and they're probably one of the favorites to go and get to the World Series out of the National League. They're a very good team, good pitching staff, good hitters. They got it all in Atlanta, and all around very good team down in Atlanta, Georgia. Then you have a bit of a surprise with this next one in the Miami Marlins, who somehow have a minus 34 run differential and are 33 and 28, which absolutely makes no sense. How are you that far above? You're only 3 games out of first place, have a minus 34 run differential, but are 33 and 28. I don't get it. But Miami's team, they signed Luis Arias from the Minnesota Twins. And I don't know where in the world this guy came from, but he burst onto the scene with the Minnesota Twins and just became a hit machine. He doesn't hit for power, but my goodness, this guy is. I mean, if you have Luis Arias, would be like. I mean, he's only like 25, I want to say right now. And if you're looking for a leadoff hitter, someone who's just gonna get on base, dude, absolutely, I would sign every single I would sign anyone under the sun that I would to go and get Luis Arias. I mean, the dude is hitting near 400 this year. This thing keeps falling off my head. Um, he's hitting near 400 almost this year. I think he's hitting 399 actually, to be exact. He's hitting near 400, and he consistently gets on base, and he's got decent speed. I mean, he is the perfect leadoff man. With just his batting average, it's like, dude, just put him at have him as a leadoff man every single game. I mean, there's no reason to not lead him off. Now I know Miami, I think they have him as like the 3 hitter because they just have no power on their team, but this Miami team, they also have the defending Cy Young Award winner in Sandy Alcantara, who has had a miserable year so far, has not been able to find a strike zone, and honestly, has just pretty much sucked. So it has been a struggle bus for him. But this is a solid Miami team. They have struggled offensively. Luis Arias has been like the lone bright spot for them. Don't know how good Miami really is, but 33 and 28, I don't think that's really who they are. And right below them is the New York Mets at a smack dab right in the middle, 30 and 30. Um, with all the money that they spend, you would think they'd be better, but they never seem to. They never seem to really get there. Sitting directly at 500 currently this year. They signed Max Scherzer to huge money. They signed Justin Verlander to huge money. Both of them have been hurt several times. They let DeGrom go and figured, hey, maybe our injury problems are gonna be done. Nope. But spent huge money on Verlander, huge money on Scherzer, huge money on, I don't know, name somebody. I'm sure they spent a bunch of money. They did lose Edwin Diaz for the year, which is their star closer, after he got hurt during the World Baseball Classic celebrating a win, which really sucks. Um, but this Mets team is definitely underperforming. They have not been what anyone was hoping for, And I'm sure Mets fans are really not happy with it, as most New York fans are very, very impatient. So I'm sure the Mets fans are looking for a very quick turnaround uh, in Queens. I think that's where they are. I think it's the Bronx or the Yankees, and then I think the Mets are Queens. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just an idiot and I don't remember where any of them are. But the Mets definitely looking for more out of the hitting side of things, and maybe even the pitching, but mostly the hitting. And then we go to the Philadelphia Phillies, who are the defending National League champions from a year ago. Of course, they fell to Houston Astros. Um, but man, the Phillies have really struggled this year. Only a lousy 28 and 32. Of course, is what happened last year. And then they ended up winning the National League, so who knows? But the Phillies have really struggled thus far. Their big time sign in the offseason and Trey Turner has been a major league disappointment. Kyle Schwarber just continues to be the guy who hits like barely 200, a billion homers, and then walks a little bit, and that's it. I don't understand all the fascination over Schwarber. I mean, sure, he hits a lot of homers, but he barely hits 200. I mean, is that really good? And then they have, of course, Castellanos. They have a couple other decent hitters as well. Their pitching staff, Aaron Nola hasn't been great. Zach Wheeler hasn't been great. Taijuan Walker has not been good. So, a lot of things have not gone right for Philadelphia thus far, and they're definitely looking to fix it. Now, of course, they do have a series against the Tigers right now, so they have that going in their favor, and they won the first game pretty easily, so they might win the second one pretty easily too. Uh, and then in the second, and then the last team here, we have the Washington Nationals at 25 and 34. It's the Washington Nationals. They're bad. There's like nobody on their team that's any good, pretty much. I mean, they have a former Tiger and Jameer Candelario, who's actually kind of had a decent year and might be a trade piece, but they're in rebuild mode. There's not much else to say. They're a bad team. Not much else to look forward to in Washington. Then we have the NL Central, which is almost as bad as the AL Central. It's still better, but it's almost as bad as the AL Central. For whatever reason, both Central divisions just suck. I don't get it. But we start with probably what was the other big surprise this year in the Pittsburgh Pirates. They had a unbelievably good start to the year, just like the Tampa Bay Rays. Cooled down for a while. They've had a rough May, but they have still held on to the leading division just barely. Now winning their last six here in the month of June, as their month of May, as you could probably imagine, was not very good. And then we have the Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't know what in the world they are getting that is making them so good. I mean, I do know they have Brian Reynolds, who's been really good for them, obviously. Andrew McCutchen is having a renaissance year for him. He's looking more like Andrew McCutchen again. So that definitely helps too. But really, other than that, I look at their team and I'm like, Carlos Santana. Like, what else is giving Pittsburgh all this success? I mean, they had O'Neal Cruz, but he's obviously now done for the year. So it's like, well, who else are they gonna get? But the Pittsburgh Pirates, this team, for whatever reason, is still playing very well, and well, let's see how long it will last. And then next we have the Milwaukee Brewers at 32 and 28, as they're only a half a game behind the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is a team that has absolutely no offensive capability. Pretty much, they can't score. Christian Yelich has sort of been looking a bit more like his MVP self. He still doesn't have the power, but he is getting the average back a little bit. But he's become the leadoff guy. He's still getting on base a decent amount of time, but he still does not look like his old MVP self, which really sucks if you're a Brewers fan. And really, other than that, Milwaukee's just not really had anyone offensively doing anything. Of course, their pitching staff is still dynamite if it stays healthy, and Devin Williams is still by far the best closer in all of Major League Baseball, alongside probably Josh Hader. But this Brewers team is still. This is like what the Tigers would be if they were good. You know, if all the Tigers like reached their potential, this is probably what they would become. They'd become a team with just lethal pitching and then just has no offense. I mean, that's pretty much what they are, just a bad version of it. But the Brewers, they need to find they really need some more offense. Find some offensive bat, get some bats on some balls, get in play, get some runs. Because their pitching staff is mostly doing the job, and their hitting really is not. And then after the Brewers, we have the Cincinnati Reds at 27-33. The Reds have had a closer who has been unbelievably good, and that is actually Edwin Diaz's younger brother in Alexis Diaz. He had a really good year last year for the Cincinnati Reds, which was his rookie year. And now this year has been just as good as he has yet to also blow a save for the Cincinnati Reds, just like Devin Williams, who hasn't blown a save either. But the Reds have been unbelievably, but he has been really good and has been a bright spot for this Reds team because the rest of it just really is not all that enticing. They just did call up a big shortstop prospect today, so we'll see how he starts doing for Cincinnati. But really, other than him, it's not a pretty look for Cincinnati. And there has not been much to look forward to if you're a Reds fan. Uh, there's still only 5.5 games off first place, but there's not been much of anything to look forward to in Cincinnati. Then next we have the Chicago Cubs, who, when we went over this team last month, at the beginning of May, they were looking really good. They had Cody Bellinger looking like looking like the MVP he used to be. They had some other hitters playing pretty well. Hosmer got dumped, but they still have Mancini. They had they still have Dansby Swanson. They had guys who are playing pretty well, and they have completely fallen off a cliff since then. Really a big issue for the Cubs has been their bullpen. Their bullpen has been brutally bad. They have not found a closer, and they really have just not found anybody who's been able to close out games for them, and so that has significantly hurt them, and is probably the biggest reason why they've had little success, and really have struggled recently. And then after the Cubs, we have the St. Louis Cardinals, who, my goodness, they have been bad too. I mean, this is a team where they had huge expectations, and it just has not come out whatsoever. I mean, you look at St. Louis, they have Nolan Arenado, Wilson Contreras, Paul Goldschmidt. Really, the biggest issue for the Cardinals has been their lack of pitching. They don't have a lot of their pitching staff is kind of lacking, and it was said at the beginning of the year that St. Louis does need more pitching, and they haven't gotten it, and their pitching staff has not played well. And while their offense has still been producing a decent amount, and Nolan Arenado has finally picked up the pace after a slow start, Wilson Contreras has completely fallen off a cliff, and St. Louis has just not been good either. So Cardinals need some help. They need to turn some things around. They need to turn them around fast because we're only 2 months into the year, but they're already 8 games out of first, and 25-36 is not a pretty record. So now we go to the NL West, which is our last division here for the National League and for this month. And we have a two-way tie actually for first place, with the Arizona Diamondbacks of all teams, and then the LA Dodgers. I'll just start with the Dodgers first. Dodgers are a very good team. I mean, this team has definitely lost a bit. They're definitely, I wouldn't say as potent as they were some years back, but this is still a good team. They struggled out of the gate and had some early issues and weren't looking all that sharp, but this team is still very good. They have some solid hitters. They still have a couple of solid pitchers. Of course, they have still a stacked farm system. I'll never understand how they continue to find guys who are just really good players. Because I'm like, they're always a top team. They always seem to just have a great farm system. It's like, how is that even possible? But the LA Dodgers, they're a good team. They continue to find success, and we'll have to see how it goes for the Dodgers, but this is still a solid team, and this is still a team that could probably end up winning the National League. But then we have the Arizona Diamondbacks, who were by far and away the worst team in this division a year ago. And now all of a sudden this year they're tied for the lead in the division, which doesn't make any sense. But their offense has been really good. They had a outfield prospect come up in Corbin Carroll, and he's been dynamite. Uh, Zach Gallen has actually stayed healthy all year and has looked like a Cy Young Award candidate. That's how good he's been. And as for the rest of the Arizona team, the offense has still been solid. They got a trade for Lourdes Gurriel during the offseason, and he's been pretty good. So Arizona's hitting has been honestly solid. And their pitching staff, while Zach Gallen's pretty much like the only guy that they don't really have a ton of other guys. Their pitching staff has honestly not been terrible. So Arizona's having a impressive year thus far, and we'll have to look and wait and see if it continues. But so far, so good for Arizona. And then behind these two teams tied for first is the San Fran. I almost said 49ers. This isn't football. The San Fran Giants at 29 and 30, just a game below 500. The offense isn't great. The pitching staff is Logan Webb and a bunch of guys. I don't know how they stay at 500 because I don't even know what else they really even have. I mean, honestly, you look at San Francisco, I'm like, okay, they're a bunch of old farts. What else do they have? I mean, there's nothing else in San Francisco that I know of that's really all that impressive. I mean, they got Michael Conforto, they got Lamont Wade Jr., and it's like, yeah, I don't really know what else really San Fran possesses that's so terrifying. You know, there really isn't anything. But so far, San Fran's been good enough. And they're holding close to a 500 record so far. You know, I don't really know if San Fran fans were expecting that, but you know, could be a lot worse, I suppose. And it could be almost as bad as the team right below them, which is the San Diego Padres, who were looking to win this division this year and be the pride of the division. Uh, and you know just dominate, go to the World Series, make a huge run. But instead, they've come out to a miserable 28 and 32 record, which doesn't sound that terrible, especially for some fans. You're like, yeah, 28 and 32, I'll take that any day. Hey, if I'm a Tigers fan, I'll take that any day. But this is the San Diego Padres. This is a team that has Juan Soto, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis. Why did I say Francisco? Fernando Tatis. You know, loads and Jay Cronenworth. I mean, loads and loads of hitters. Unbelievably good lineup, and yet this is all it's come out to. And their pitching staff has actually been really good. You look at their runs against, 235 is a very good runs against total, but you look at the runs scored, it's 247. That is miserable. That tells me that their offense has been putrid. They really need to start finding some offense because their pitching staff is certainly playing like they could win the World Series, but their offense, not so much. But really a struggle bus in San Diego and Petco Park. They'll definitely look to turn things around very soon. And then we have the Colorado Rockies at 26 and 35. Coors Field is by far the most gimmicky field in all of MLB baseball, which always leads to inflated numbers for them. You never really know how good Colorado really is because they get the advantage of the thin air in Denver. And, they've scored 273 runs, They ain't better than San Diego in runs scored. I know that much. And then runs against, they've given up 330, which giving up runs in Colorado is very easy to do. But the Rockies, even just in and of themselves, are just not a great team. Their pitching staff's not great. Chris Bryant's on the IL, which is like their only good hitter. Charlie Blackmon's almost like 40. I wouldn't really consider that a hitter anymore. But the Rockies, just not a great team overall. It's just not all that special over in Colorado. They have a lot of work to do and really not much to work with. Um, but that is it for the National League. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As I said in the last one, I'll have NFL, college football stuff coming out in the next month and week or so. So all the football series will be beginning soon. That's when this channel really gets busy because then we got a lot of videos to go through. So that's all for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, adios, everyone.